Move over, Buffy. There's a new badass in town. Today I am here with Zoe Kavanagh, writer, director, producer, many other
One
things
of them, yeah.
from Demon Hunter, or Taron Barker Demon Hunter as it was when I first
Yeah.
knew it. But it is now officially just Demon Hunter.
Yeah, that was that was one of the title. That was the closing title that the distribution company settled on. I had called the Taron Barker Demon Hunter, and I still think it's a slightly better title. It's a Google friendlier title, but they chose that, and I figured I wasn't going to disagree because I wanted the film to come out as soon as possible. You know, and there's many other producers on it as well. Constant Motion Pictures produced it. But yeah, like, I mean, the whole franchise itself, well, the idea of...
Well, actually, why don't you introduce me? So, like, for anyone who doesn't know, who hasn't seen Demon Hunter yet, give me the basic story.
Okay, so Demon Hunter is about a girl called Taron Barker who, when she was younger, her little sister... she never brought her home from school, and she went missing. She got abducted. Taron took responsibility to search the streets for her 12-year-old sister. Eventually, she found her in this abandoned oil factory, and her sister died in her arms. Plagued by grief and guilt, she searches for revenge, and she falls into the hands of a satanic cult who trick her, dupe her into saying that they'll help her get revenge, and unfortunately they try to use her as like a martyr for possession and sacrifice. And halfway through the possession, she gets rescued by demon hunters, and so she has powers. She's half demon, half human. She could summon, and so when she's rescued, she's trained to stand up and fight crime, fight monsters hidden in our society, plain sight. And so the film itself is like, it takes place in present day, and she's brought in for interrogation. And is she guilty? Is she not? And the film kind of ties with fantasy and cop thriller at the same time.
Yeah, like it kind of opens with like a real bravado set piece where we're started almost immediately with an action scene that involves, a Highlander-esque moment, shall we say. Well, like, I think tonally, like the way you describe that film, it could be many different things. Like, do you think the comparisons to something like Buffy, is it in that world? Like what sort of film do you think this film is?
Well, I definitely, like, there's not many comparative films of its type. The only films we could really resource from when writing it. I mean, the biggest influences on that film is Highlander and The Terminator, and maybe a few other films, like, maybe a bit of style from more James Cameron things. But I guess Buffy would probably fall into an element of inspiration, but she's certainly not Buffy because she has a bit more of an angsty, broken melodrama to her, but a lot of influence from 80s films, and then emotionally influenced by metal music and I guess The Crow.
Actually, The Crow was definitely stuck out to me as being like a personal favorite as well. Do you think, like, I guess who's your audience for this film?
15-year-olds and people that go see action horror films. People that like to play games like Resident Evil and Devil May Cry, and people that like darker superhero films, and then everyone else in between that. The broad spectrum of things. It'd be cool to see, like, because it's a strong female role, that, like, you'd probably hopefully would get more females attracted to it, because generally, stuff like that it's more like a, I don't know, 70% male, 30% female audience, but...
No, but exactly, like, because I think you're definitely right about female characters from it, but what I think Demon Hunter, like, you're right, it's not a very common thing now. It sets out to have, like, these very dark elements and obviously a very troubled protagonist at the center of it, but also entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a great sense of fun in it, and I don't know. you want your audience to enjoy the film. I think it's not just like I'm going to put you through this vicious, really dark journey. It's actually I want you to have a great time.
Exactly, that's the point. I mean, what's funny about the film, we did do pickups and some reshoots because we wanted to balance. Like there's scenes that will be really bleak, and then the next scene has a bit of black comedy in it to kind of relieve the tension. You know, like I mean, you'll have this sad scene, then the next scene there's someone trying to flirt with someone, and it's a cop on another cop, and it's just like awkward, but it's funny, you know. And there's these setup and payoffs that come in and play in the film. It's dark sense of humor, but you kind of need to. If you stay in a blue tone, miserable mode throughout the whole film, it gets dull, it gets boring, and you cannot connect with your audience. I really feel there needs to be a bit of relief. Even Taron has a few puns in there. I mean, like definitely influenced by the Evil Dead films. I guess Ash is probably one of the coolest action or horror heroes around. I mean, because he's just so clever with his jokes, and they land so great, you know. And I kind of like, yeah, I guess that's a huge influence. If there was no Ashley J. Williams from Evil Dead, there'd be no Taron Barker, you know. And I think comedy in doses, action and horror and world building, I think they're kind of your main elements, the ingredients to make a good cake.
Well, absolutely, and I think, you know, again, it's something I'd like to see come back more into films. Even when you think of the great Carpenter films and everything, is that like even with your really scary moments, you have to have these moments that they just sort of let off the steam, you know what I mean, and actually then allows you to build back up to more intensity. The reason why I guess we're here talking today about Demon Hunter is because you are bringing it out into theatrical cinemas for is it a one-day release? What are we?
Yeah, it's kind of mostly just a one day. On June 6th we're releasing it in Movies at Dundrum, Movies at Swords. Both those cinemas are at 8:30, and then it's in the Gate in Cork around 6 or 6:30. And yeah, those tickets are on sale now. It's really to push the fact that we're doing a simultaneous release plan, is to promote the film's release and push the DVD, which hits that Friday or that Monday, depending when the shops take it. But it's supposed to be June 12th. Demon Hunter, which you'll get nice extra features. But yeah, I mean, the plan is we're doing this completely, the marketing's completely independent and pushed hard, but...
Well, this whole thing, like this whole film for you has been like a passion project from the beginning. Like you've made this whole film outside the system, am I right?
Yeah, that's true.
So briefly, without getting too much into it, can you give me a little bit of a sense of, well, firstly, where you got the idea from and how you pulled it off?
Well, like originally, like I came to the idea about 9 years ago. I was just drawing a picture with like chalk and colors, and I was listening to like a band called Demon Hunter, and I was just like, the song was called "My Heartstrings Come Undone," and I was like, oh, it's so emotional. And I was drawing it. I was like, coming up with a character. I was like, this makes sense. I was like, what is the worst thing that can happen to her? A little sister or something bad thing, and then she fights demons. Okay, great. I have a world. I can do this. And then I was listening to rock music and drawing a picture. I came up with the character, and then from then I made a no budget short, which wasn't that great, but I think that helped me evolve the character and know where it was going to be when it was going to.
So it's a Demon Hunter short.
I made a Demon Hunter short, yeah, in 2008. It's a different actress playing the role, and it was. It's a bit more, I guess the filmmaking is a bit more amateurish when you don't have any money. I know shot mini DV, which some people like mini DV, but I guess the elements were in there, you know, in place before, you know, like I did figure I rebooted my own thing, you know, because I knew where I went wrong and I wanted to make it right. And so then I'd written a script called Demon Hunter Retribution, which was this big Empire Strikes Back epic, like Shakespearean action horror film where like she finds out who kills her sister and all this big family tragedy. And you couldn't make that movie. You need a lot of money. So I worked backwards. I teamed up with Tony Flynn, and we wrote a web series, which we tried for RT Storyland, but you know it didn't work out. So we turned it into a feature. Which what was really handy at bringing a prequel to Retribution was that I knew the world, we knew the world, and became a very tight film. Like when you watch the film, there's all these characters come and go, but it's kind of intentionally to kind of say, oh, you're dropped in the middle of a bigger thing, and yeah, so I mean, developing, that's how I developed it, and then financing it, I actually financed it myself. I had a few little bits of extra help here and there, but 95% of the money, it's 70k, I think it's gone up to how much it costs, is all my own cash. Like, I just worked, put it all, took a loan now, and just really wants to make the film as professional as possible and make it look as expensive as possible.
Which it certainly does. Like, there's no question. Like, I think probably for a lot of our listeners as well, like a lot of people at the moment are operating in what's called a no budget world, but obviously 70,000 isn't no budget. But when you're competing with bigger things, it's not a lot. When we see that a lot of film board shorts can be made for a similar amount, and it's like 10 or 15 minutes, and it's two people sitting in a kitchen. You have motorbikes flying around the place. You've got fight scenes. You have special effects. You have, like a demon with his spine exposed. Like, you've got like some wonderful mansion. I think it's down in Offaly, is it?
Yeah.
It's like so. All of these things. There must have been an element of fear when you were putting that money behind it. Not that you didn't believe in the idea, but just, can I actually pull this off with this amount of money?
There was a few instances where I was worried. I mean, we did in 2013. We tried to make half the film, and about a good portion into the shoot, our generator died when we were down in Slane, and so we lost a lot of footage on that day, which gave us time to think about what went wrong, what went right, and then when I had planned to shoot in 2014, the bulk of the film, a few actors had dropped out, particularly my lead, and someone else. I mean, contracts mean nothing in the independent scene. People can betray contracts, unfortunately, and you don't have the cash to kind of stand up to that. So, that's kind of a problem. But luckily, I was blessed with Niamh Hogan. She dived into the role, does her own stunts. She learned all the lines. She didn't have to take any advice from me. She just knew the character, so well. And I had a great production team and art department, producers.
How much of that footage survives from the 2013 shoot? Like, how much of the film is actually in the final film?
There is probably about 12 minutes of stuff we shot previously. Like, there's stuff of the back of the previous actress. There might be some
really? So actually, you reshot some of and you actually put it together?
Yeah, there's when she searches for her sister.
Yeah.
Most of that, when she runs towards the building and up the stairs, that's a different actress. All the way up until she finds her. And when she holds her in her hands, that's Niamh. And when Niamh did a fill in of like a face one when she finds the bracelet. But yeah, I mean, I was so lucky that most of those shots were like shot the way they were. It was so lucky.
But I think you have to, because again, when you're working with such restrictions and being as ambitious as you were with this film, you really have to be that resourceful, don't you? There's an element of, I think, other people who are used to operating with more money and better resources in those situations will kind of either crumble or think there's no way around this, or we're just going to have to reshoot everything. And actually the cutthroat kind of determination of an independent filmmaker who goes, look, what do we have? What can we do? And how can we make this work? Like, I can't see any other way you could have made this film work.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that when we went back in September 2014 to shoot the film, we shot for 3 weeks. The bulk of the film, and we've fixed in remaking scenes because we had to recast. I had finished an edit of the film by Christmas of 2014, and I looked back on the film and I felt I needed more action, I needed more pace, I needed to improve on like a massacre scene. And so in the following year, a few months later, I saved up some cash, and my plan was to extend some character bits and add more action and trim down all the other scenes just to make the film really fast paced.
Because you edited this with one other person, is it? Or?
I edited the bulk of the film myself on Adobe Premiere, and then Seamus Hanley came in towards the back end as second eyes to kind of give me like that kind of, let's tweak this. He had a few cut techniques, ideas like, oh, let's trim this that way and that, and the stylish end title sequence for the end credits was him, which is really good.
Yeah, it's a great ending to have it on. It's great. Actually, that brings me on to the music of this film. Like, I think one thing that really troubles very low budget films is having a score or a soundtrack. How did you get these songs? Where are they from?
I literally right, half the songs were written for the film, and then we just got home to the score. My band added 2 songs, and then I just love a lot of independent artists. I love the new retro wave, synthwave music, and I love a lot of goth bands. And one of the bigger bands on the soundtrack is Julian K, which they were on soundtracks to Underworld and Transformers and all that. But I guess I'm good at reaching out to certain people, you know, and cut down and get a reasonable fee off them, a license fee. I mean, there's ways of getting these things. Ever since then, I know how to get songs on soundtracks. It was costly. The soundtrack was quite costly itself, but half the songs were written for the film, like When She's on the Bike, Her Vengeance. That one's my band. And Eve herself sings the funeral scene.
I saw she was credited on it,
Yeah, she sings the song at the funeral, which is kind of funny because it's like an element of a musical at a moment, you know.
And where did you find Neve?
She found us. I mean, I put out a casting call and we got hundreds of emails of people just trying to, who wanted to play the role when it was opened up, you know. And I had to go through loads of them, and it was between her and someone else, and eventually it ended up to be Neve, you know. So lucky.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think like she's been getting great notices as well, which actually brings me on to the incredible success you've had on the festival circuit. So like a lot of films, when they're made for this, you know, next to no budget money, or with, you know, shall we say, inexperienced producers, being yourself, like trying to get it out there and trying to get it found, like finding a path for that and carving a path for your film. And I think carving is a good word because it actually almost has to be a work of force. It's not something that just gently parts ways and say, hey, this is how your film's going to get out there. How did you approach the festivals, and can you tell us about some of the festivals and the successes you've had?
Okay, so I put aside a bit of cash and I submitted to I probably submitted to hundreds of festivals. The first few months was rejections left, right and centre, and you start to worry then, as most filmmakers do, is my film any good? Luckily at the time of submitting in late 2015, 2016, I was still tweaking the film. So I mean, I kept fine-tuning it out, you know, worried that does it suck, you know, because I'm not getting into any festivals, is this bad? And then just as soon as the film was just about finished 100%, we started getting into some, you know, we got accepted into Fright Night Film Fest, and then we started getting into all these other international ones, and then it started to pick up. But at the same time, it's tough because it's a learning lesson. Like, I mean, it was my first time submitting a film to festivals. I've never done it before, and it can be mortifying. You just need to know what festivals to submit to, and we ended up going to the Fright Night Film Fest, the Horror Hound in Ohio. And
is that where I saw a picture of you with Lloyd Kaufman?
Yeah, I was hanging out with Lloyd Kaufman, and we were at a panel together. It was great, and I won Best Director at that, so that was pretty awesome. I remember being at Fright Night Film Fest, and we were just hanging there at the awards, and we were like, we're not going to win anything. We travel all the way here, we're not going to win anything, and we just kept winning awards. It's like, what's going on?
But then, considering I think that there's a real important lesson in that, because, as you were saying, how did you deal with that rejection of your film? Because, it's a very strange world we live in now, where actually 100 people, 1,000 people can tell you your film is crap, and you still have to somehow persevere beyond that, and then find that there are people who actually go, that's not just okay, that's great, we love it, we want to give you an award for it. How did you get through that? Because all those rejections, we've all been there on Film Freeway or Without a Box, and they come in after, and you're just kind of going, this is all costing me money.
Yeah.
How did you keep going?
Because I really knew I felt the film was good. I watching it as an outsider. What's good about the film to me is it has my style, but it's rewatchable. It's fun, and you wouldn't mind watching it again because it's a bang for your buck. And I think the people that latched onto it, got the strong, strong female character, got the world of it, and the people that don't like it, it's like it is interesting because you either like these films, and if you don't like the film, you're giving it 1 star. I've gotten like 10 reviews in total, let's just say, and the average is like a 7 out of 10. And there's like 2 1-star reviews, 2 or 3. And I'm just like, well, there you go. I don't get what their agenda is for the 1 star. It's definitely not 1 star. I mean, Boredemic's probably 1 star. But
even at that, I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I have major issues with anyone on IMDb who either even giving 10 or 1. I'm like, you're having a laugh. It's just, you're impressing no one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is, it is tough. There's a lot of films being made, and you're swimming with a lot of fish trying to get to the surface, and the only way you're going to do it is to keep pushing. Unfortunately, it's a lot of money, losing money, but if you really believe in the film, you just have to keep pushing it.
But that's the hard thing as well, though, because like I would argue that like it's that hard thing of knowing when to stop, shall we say, with the festivals, because each festival costs money, and like for anyone who submitted these things, whether it's shorts or features, those fees add up very, very quickly. When you're even if you go to 10 festivals, you could be talking €500 up to €1,000 even, because some of the bigger ones are even more expensive. But of course, if you hadn't kept pushing, all that first couple of festivals you submitted to would have been for nothing, and the film went nowhere. And yet, by maintaining, so it's very hard to know when do you stop.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like I kind of stop now with this film because I feel like I got to the peak. I proved my point. It is a 7 out of 10 movie. But like. I was worried. There was a point where you're like, should I stop now? I'm not getting into any. But I think the point you stop is the point you get into good festivals. You need to just keep trying until you get in. You need to prove to people that the film you made was good. You didn't work that hard for nothing. And there's so much in it. Like, I mean, there's not really other Irish films that try to shoot in castles and power stations and rooftop sword fights. I mean, you can look back and most people don't really do a good job. You got your fatal deviations and you got your disasters, but I feel like I believed in showing these cool locations in Ireland while also building a world.
Yeah, okay, well, I think worlds is an important thing because actually, like, the mythology feels very strong as well, and in many ways, it does feel like the first chapter in something, and whether that's more films or like a TV show or comic books, I don't know, but it just feels like the way you've written this world, I feel like you know it. You know what I mean? The way everyone meets and talks and everything, it feels like there's probably more to all of these people. Like, what is your hope or your what would you like to see go on like?
I'd love to make 6 films in total because I have 6 stories as films, but I'd be happy to make 3 because it really rounds out with 3. Like the second film's a really big bridge. I just hope to just expand. There's so many places we didn't go yet with Taran, and with the first film, when we shot the first film, I mean, our character was still being rounded out, and it was only when we were coming to the pickups with the one-liners to start to realise how kind of funny she was, and so there's this edge of like cheeky, cynical goth humour that she has, and I think like that would be pushed harder in the next one because only when the film got made I fully realised who she was, and I already know where our world is, but I know how to I just really want to tell it. I want people to check it out because it's so cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you've had some great supporters. So like you got a great write-up from Donald Clark in the Irish Times the other day. There's like, you're getting these reviews coming in from people who are actually, I don't know how to say it, like it can be very hard to entice people in say the mainstream media to give films a chance. Like you said, there's so much stuff being made. I don't necessarily blame them. Like, can you talk about how important that is to you or to the film, getting like these top reviewers to actually look at your film and praise it?
Yeah, getting praise, is shocking, like especially from like top critics, and to me it is important. Like, I mean, you need people to discover the film. You need people to trust your film. And the thing about in Ireland, I mean, unless you're getting these type of reviews, people don't trust you or your film. They think they because they've been burnt out by a lot of Irish cinema, and I feel like the Irish independent scene is getting the backlash of that one. And there's a lot of great talent in this country that is going by unnoticed because of the lack of proper marketing or support from it, and I really feel like that needs to change now, you know.
What do you think is it, like anything that jumps to mind you think we could do that would actually help change that?
I think whatever organisations that are in charge in Ireland of supporting supporting cinema, Irish cinema, needs to actually look at the films and see the merits of the style of the director, of the concept of the film, of the marketability of the film, more so than what does it represent for the culture of the country. We need to compete with the other countries. All the other countries are making genre films. All the other countries are making superhero films. All the other countries, it's fine for us to bring in Hollywood to shoot TV shows over here. But what about the Irish talents that want to make these types of films? Why can't they have a shot? We've all went to college. We've all gotten degrees. Give us a shot.
I agree. I think there's no reason why every genre can't be served within an Irish setting, and I think maybe that is just maybe the independent scene is a little quicker to adapt and to kind of realize these things, and hopefully those things will grow, because it does. For me, I feel any film made by an Irish person or with an Irish crew or anything will inherently have Irish culture in it. Not necessarily deliberately, but like, I'm an Irish person. If I write a script, obviously I'm putting my experience in there, so I don't think you should have to justify it beyond that. Like, it's like you don't ask a painter why he paints fields. You know what I mean? Like, you don't question the integrity of that.
Exactly.
But no, absolutely. Okay, so you've gotten the great reviews. Obviously, you've had incredible success in the festivals. Demon Hunter, what date's it coming out on?
In cinemas, June 6th. Book your tickets now. And on DVD and VOD, it'll be on June 12th. Now, VOD, it'll be on almost every platform from what I know. Like, I mean, you'll find it on your Google Play, I think your Virgin, your Sky pay-per-view, and all other accessible ones. I think in UK they got PlayStation doing rent movies on that, and Xbox, I don't know about over here. Maybe PS4 can do that. But yeah, I mean, you'll be able to find it anywhere and everything by around that time.
So it'll be available to everyone on VOD, but big call out to anyone who can try and make it to those cinema screenings.
Make it to a cinema screen. Show the people, show the Irish film industry that you want to see something new. You know, make noise, and maybe perhaps it'll encourage us to make more fantasy horror films or fantasy action or genre. So support it, like.
Yeah, no, I think that there's definitely a bit of an onus and a pressure on us all to probably make a bit more effort to be at these screenings, because I'm not sure everyone's aware until you've actually made a film how hard it is even to get it screened once, let alone even getting into festivals and everything. People sort of seem to think you just sort of submit it and it just gets put into cinemas and everything. It's just not the case. So the amount of work an independent film does to even get a one-day release is actually probably comparable to someone who's doing a massive release with all their things, because you've got no resources and everything like that. So if you want to support independent film, if you're interested in this type of film, but even if you're not, I think we've all got to start getting out there and supporting each other and giving each other a chance and making these films a success. And you're right, trying to show that there is an audience for these kind of things.
Yeah.
Zoe, any final words?
Hey ho, let's go.
Zoe, thanks so much. I wish you all the success with Demon Hunter, and with future films, and I'm sure we'll have you back on for a bit more information about how you made the film.
Awesome. Thank you.